What's up, Internet? You're tuning in to episode 55 of the FlipScreen Games Podcast, a weekly video game podcast where two best buds from different nations come together to discuss the wide world of video games. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Stephen Radford.
Hello.
So, Steve, we're less than a minute into this episode, and I've already lied to the folks. Right? Because I said this is a weekly video game podcast, except this week, you're getting 2 episodes of this show, all right? You're getting today's episode, which is just going to be our normal episode, where we're going to, crazily enough, we're going to talk about what we've been playing. I haven't done that in months, but here we are. We're going to be talking about 2 hot new indie games that that I've been playing both of. Steve's been playing one, and I'm going to convince him to play the other, I think. They are, of course, Rollerdrome and Cult of the Lamb, 2 hot new indie titles that I think it's safe to say have been taking the gaming world by storm. We're going to talk about both of them, and then on the next episode, which we'll post tomorrow, if you're listening to this the day it drops, we will be doing a Gamescom opening night special. There is a ton of news that just dropped earlier today from Gamescom opening night. Unfortunately, neither of us were able to check out the show live because it was airing like right in the middle of our work days. So we're going to do this episode today. We'll get all of our reactions for that one done tomorrow, and you'll get those like a day or two later. So, stay tuned for that one. Go tune in for that. We've got a special Nintendo noise. We'll be reacting to this week's Direct as well. So lots and lots of big news-focused episodes this week. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about some video games. So before we do that, let me remind you that this episode of the FlipScreen Games Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of August. They are, of course, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Sobi, Mary Berry, Smokey Shake, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/FlipScreenGames. Y'all are the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and our entire slate of programs. If you want to show your support just like they did, head over to the Patreon, get some awesome perks and goodies, including early access to this show, including access to our Patreon exclusive show, One More Thing, including a bunch of other cool little things you can get, like access to our exclusive Discord channel. And starting in September, just a week away now, you'll be getting to vote on main topics for the show, and games we'll play over on our Twitch channel. So if you want to get any of that stuff, or you just want to go above and beyond to show your support of what we're doing here at FlipScreen, of course the Patreon is the best way to do that. But if you don't have any money for us, you can head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links to all the places we are on the web, both of our YouTube channels, our Twitch channel, our Discord. You want to write into the show, any way that you choose to get involved, you can find the link to it right there on flipscreen.games. And however you choose to be involved, we're thankful to have you as a member of the community. And thank you for tuning into this week's show. So, Steve, like I said, we're talking about 2 games. My question to you, do you want to start with the one that you have played or the one that you haven't played?
One that I have played, definitely.
Okay, all right. Then we're going to start things off with Rollerdrome. Rollerdrome, I think, probably best known for being showcased at that PlayStation event a couple months back. It's from Team 7, the folks behind Ollie Ollie World and the Ollie Ollie franchise. And the game is, I think, probably best summarized as being like an action. It's like Tony Hawk meets an action shooter, right? Where the whole game has this really vibrant, comic book comic book influenced art style that has these really bold colors and very like kind of bombastic and almost like a retro like PlayStation 1 kind of vibe, but like made now. It's very, very unique, distinct art style. And then gameplay wise, you've got kind of the trick based Tony Hawk action mixed with a third person shooter. But it's got like the Max Payne style like slowdown thing. So the whole core gameplay loop is you're on a map and you're doing tricks to fill up your ammo. You are killing enemies that have like a variety of different guns and weapons, and they're trying to attack you. And you're taking them out to actually get your combo multiplier up. So that means that the tricks that you're doing are worth more points, and you're running up a multiplier so that whatever. If you're looking at the screen right now, right, it's like a 15x multiplier with like 15k points, right? So that'll influence what your final score is at the end of that run.
There's like floating things you can pick up around the arenas as well, like to boost your combo. So if you rather than just shooting people, you can pick them up. And there's like you can do trick shots, which will also like boost your combo and things like that. The thing I love most about it is like the backstory that they've given it and the really cool like narrative that this is like some kind of
it's like 10 years from now too, which I think is hilarious. It's like 2033 or whatever, and it's like
it's set in 2030, but it's styled like it's from the 1970s, and everyone like shops at shopping malls and things still, and
it's got that like very late
sport.
70s early 80s in the font influence, and like the mall has that like neon kind of vibe, and for sure.
And then it's like, so you play Kara Hassan, and she's like this competitor in this new blood sport that's like taken over the world, where it all takes place in rollerdromes, and you go around killing the house players, and it's not clear if they're real players. I don't think they are like real people.
I think they are,
because they sort of fade away though as like they're holograms when you kill them, and then reappear, like respawn, new ones respawn into the arena. But if you die, that's it, right? At least in terms of a concept, that's it. You've been defeated and you're out of the blood sport because you're dead.
That's what makes me think that they are real people. Is like you die.
Yeah, I kind of figured they were, but I don't know, because conceptually it's really weird because there's no blood, right? When you shoot them, they don't show blood. They don't show that they've been hurt, and then they just sort of disappear, and they like fade away. Like
I think that's just like a style choice,
staticking out. But I really like it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't really matter because you're not massively here for the gameplay. Yeah, there are those narrative sections at the beginning of each of.
Sorry, you mean for the story? You said for the gameplay.
You're here for the gameplay. You're not here for the story. Like the story's cool, and there's these like narrative sections. You start the game in like the locker room of the first arena that you're going to, and you can look around and read the items. There's like a computer you can interact with and read through Kara's emails. And then you can do the same thing at the beginning of a couple of other sections within the game. And I won't spoil what the other areas are, but they're really cool. I really like the first person perspective. It's very flat and simplistic, and I absolutely love the art style. I think it's one of the things that drew me to this game first. Was like, wow, that art style was incredible.
It's so stylish.
And apparently they had originally shown this game in like 2018, like a concept for it.
Really?
Yeah, like a concept for it with like just blocky 3D characters. And it's progressed to what we've got today, which I think is really cool. I love the direction that they took it. I think it's really, really great. And the music as well. The music really goes hand in hand with the art style.
I liked the music more when I first started playing it. I feel like it's one of the things that I feel like is I don't want to say like I feel like there's no way for me to say this without it coming off as kind of pejorative, but I feel like the music feels less inspired than the art direction, if that makes sense. Like it's not bad, it's serviceable, but I remember liking it a lot more in like the first level and then being like, oh, okay, there's not as much depth to the soundtrack as I kind of think I was hoping.
To be fair, there's not as much depth to the level styles as I would have liked as well. Like a lot of the styles, I don't know how far into the game you are, but the styles repeat themselves, right?
Third set of them, I think.
Yeah, so you'll have done a couple of snowy ones by now at least.
Yeah.
There's a couple of like the Rocky style, there's two in the shopping mall. So it's like the styles of levels, it's like they got the set of 4 styles at the beginning, and then they've just kind of taken those styles, rejig components, move things around to kind of go to the to build out the other levels for the additional ones, because it's built out like a competition. So you start off in the quarterfinals and you go to the semis, or I guess that's how it works. Is it or something like intro round, quarters, semis, and then the final?
That's right, I think.
I don't know. Yeah.
You should. You watch Bake Show.
Yeah, but I don't know what they call it before the quarterfinals. Like, are they just like
I thought
normal
it's the
rounds?
semi.
Like, what do they call them?
No, it's quarter
No,
then
because semis,
semifinals.
it's quarter then semi, but there's a level, there's a tier before quarterfinal.
Really? Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because it's 4 tiers, right? Because it's
I think that's
like
just regular
intro
competition, though,
levels.
isn't it?
Yeah, but I can't remember what they call it in the game. It has like a name
Okay,
of
I
it,
see
like
what you're
top
saying.
tier.
Sorry.
Then it's quarter, semi, and then final.
Yeah. Well, point
And it gets
being,
progressively worse. So have you got to like the boss levels yet?
no. Which I'm excited because this game's tough. Like it's surprising how quickly it gets hard. And I feel like, especially if you are the type of person like I think, again, right, if you're like a Tony Hawk person maybe, right, and you are the kind of person who likes arcadey games that are about like score chasing and being like, oh, I want to do all the challenges, I want to beat my last score, I want to S rank every level, you'll be playing this game for a while because some of these are tough and like I can beat every level pretty easily, but it's when I'm like, okay, now I want to do the score chase, and it's like, okay, like, where is everybody on the map, and what's the right order to attack them in, and like, what is the spot where my chain keeps getting broken, right? Because I'm taking too long to get back across the map, or whatever, right? And like, kind of being like, okay, let me do one more run, and just trying to be like, okay, all right, let me get a little bit better next time, like. That aspect of it is
There's like all those
satisfying.
challenges. Like every single level has like a set of challenges that are completely unique to it. Some of them are the same, like collect all 5 of the combo things, right? Because that's the same
or like
every single level.
there's 2 that are getting a high score every time, right? And like it's
Yeah.
a different high score, but it's like beat so and so's high score of 400,000 or whatever, right? And it's like, okay, sure.
But
like right now, like I've got
the
it.
Majority of them.
Yeah, like here, I can pull this up actually. I've got it up in the for the YouTube folks, and it's like collect 5 tokens, perform a flip near the trick token, eliminate a house player while doing this specific grind. So it's like they're all to perform a combo with 10x combo or whatever, right? So there's like a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, but some of them get ridiculous in the later levels, like kill 2 players with like the same shot from a weapon, or unload an entire clip into someone. There's like a character that can teleport across the other side of the map, and you have to unload
Kill
an
them before
entire
they
clip into
teleport,
them
like stuff like that.
before they teleport away. And it's just, and they are so quick. The moment you get near them, they're out of there. So you really have to like plan it. And I don't think I'd love to see it, and I'm sure it is possible, but for me, it's not possible to do every single challenge while also obtaining like a good score. Like I feel like
I don't think it's
you
meant
have to go into you're meant to like go into the level going, I'm gonna do this challenge this time, or I'm gonna go do these set of challenges this time. Like I'm gonna try and get this specific trick that I'm gonna pull, or I'm gonna go for the high score this time, or the 20x combo.
Yeah, because one of the like, in addition to the challenges, every level has like a time that they're like, this is the time in which you should beat it for the best score.
The par time.
And you can go longer. What is it called? Par time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you can go over the par time, but you get penalized for how much over it you are. So you can either like do a run where you do everything and get all 10 things, or you can do a run where you try to get a good score. I'm sure really, really like S rank players could probably do both, but
Yeah, I've got nowhere near an S rank yet. I've managed to A rank out all of the top level. There's no way I'm getting anywhere near an S rank on any of them. You have to be insanely quick and insanely good to do that. Like some of the levels, it's just like finish a level in 30 seconds or something. And I'm just like, how fast have you got to be able to whiz across the map? You have to learn where the players are spawning and learn a pattern. It's like go here, go here, go here. It's like dot to dot across.
You have to make
the
a
map.
line. Like you have to like know, like, okay, like I have to hit this and hit a trick here. And like, and I think that's the thing that about this game that I think is actually the most impressive is like how well they've managed to pull that off. Because I think it's the type of game that like you see it on paper and you're like, that sounds really fun. But it's also the kind of game that I think I could easily see like the rails getting off of quickly, where it's like, this game is asking you to do a lot. Right? Like you're constantly moving. You have to keep doing tricks to make sure you have ammo. You need to keep killing people to keep your time up, but also to make sure you have more health. And like your score degrades if you're doing the same tricks all the time. So it's like there's so much you need to juggle between like, okay, like if you're watching on YouTube right now, right, you're on a level where like there's 2 snipers that are trying to shoot you. There's multiple guys with rockets who are trying to get at you. Every section has a guy with a bat or a pistol or a shotgun or whatever. And it's like you're trying to go through all of that and then also complete these objectives and also keep shooting and keep moving. And I think that could easily be something that would just get chaotic to the point of where it's like too hard to follow or it's not fun. And I think there are times where it does get, I don't want to say too chaotic, but it gets chaotic to the point of being like,
I think it gets overwhelming.
Yes, that's a good word for it. But I also think that the more you play, the less that is true. Right? Like the first time I was playing, I was like, I'm having so much trouble keeping up with what it's asking me to do. And I kept not like, I remember I kept running into the issue where I wasn't doing enough tricks. So I didn't have enough ammo. So I couldn't keep my lines going. And I was like, what the fuck?
It's like always, you just get in the rhythm of I'm always doing a trick. If I'm moving, I'm jumping and I'm just twisting in the air,
right.
Or I'm going off of something, or I'm grinding. I've always got to be doing a trick. The one thing that really tripped me up was I had this mentality, and it tells you at the beginning you don't have to do it, is I'm always pressing forward on the stick, because that's just like habit for me.
And it fucks up my tricks.
It fucks your tricks right up, because it wants you to like push forwards off of the ramp, whereas if you don't push forwards, you go up in the air. And so it was really screwing my tricks up.
That was really messing me up.
And it took me a while to figure it out.
But right, I bring that up to say I think that it's a game that really rewards you for learning how to play, right? Because like you get a couple levels in and you're like, okay, like I see the loop now, right? Like I see that I need, like you said, every time I'm in the air, if I'm not aiming at somebody, I should be doing a trick so that I'm lining up for my next kill. And like you get in the mindset too of like, like actually I shouldn't kill every single guy who's in front of me, because I want to leave some of the low level guys I can kill in one shot, so that if I'm traveling between a sniper over here and a guy with a rocket launcher over here, I can kill a couple goons in between and keep my run going. So like I feel like the game does a really good job of like, it's a little overwhelming at first, but it teaches you everything clearly enough and sets you up to be like, hey, like learn what the purpose of each of these individual actions are and then link them together so that like you're constantly having one thing feed into the other, right? You're doing tricks to make sure you have more ammo. You're getting kills to make sure you have health and that you're keeping your line going and you're getting a higher score and you're, maybe checking some of the boxes. And like, I think that that's really hard to do and do well, to take all these different random things and marry them so well and have the game feel be right, have it feel the way you want it to feel. Like Tony Hawk, right, is always like, I think the gold standard of which like these kinds of extreme sports games are measured by, right? And it's like you play Tony Hawk and it feels right? Like you do any action you take in that game, you're like, right, this did what I thought it was going to do. It behaves the way I thought it was going to. And I think that's always the thing that makes or breaks games like this for me. And this game feels great. I think aside from one or two things that are like quirky, right? Like the thing you said of like you're going up and if you push forward, you go over the ramp instead of going up and turning back around like you normally would in like...
And I don't know how you get used to that other than like you could maybe use the other stick to do the tricks instead of doing that same stick that you're pushing around with. Like maybe that would solve the problem, but I also feel that would add complexity to it. I don't know. I
think it's just a thing you need to get used to. Like this is how this works. Don't do that.
Yeah. And it's not the same as other skating games, which I think is why it was so weird to me, because it's not something I experienced in like Tony Hawk or Skate or Jet Set Radio. It is unique to this, but maybe Ollie Ollie's like that. I don't know. I haven't played it.
I mean, that's even a whole other thing because it's like a side scroller. So it's like that's a whole other conversation as well. But I think they really nail the feel of the skating thing and they get that down well. I think the only thing about it that I do wish that maybe the trick book was a little bit more complex. There's not that many tricks.
But you know what, though? Like, there are quite a lot of tricks.
There's like 27 different combos, I think, between like, because each grab
you can do double on both of them,
right?
So like you can do left and right up down
right. So it's left, it's like left grab, left grab, down, grab. Then there's also the flips that you can do, but there's really only like 4 of those that you can do.
Well, every single one of the the grabs has a flip version, has a flip variant,
True.
and then there's like the same again for grinds, but you can also like depending on how many degrees of turn you've done. I don't know. I feel like it's enough for me, and I never felt like I got bored. The thing
No.
that I got in the habit of was like I would always be doing like a melancholy or something, and like
That's
because
the
I'd just
thing.
be like
Yeah, I feel like
habit
I'm
of like
always doing the
pushing right.
same couple tricks because of how much the game is asking of me in other departments. I'm not like
Yeah.
having
But
that
that's on
same.
me. That's on me
Sure.
to like get better at to because like I should be improving upon that because like once you get in the swing of things and you know everything, like that is where I think you can improve is
Yeah.
like I want to get the biggest score by doing the most number of
I
tricks
I guess I
and
just
getting like a
wish
really high combo.
I guess I just wish I had a few more options because like there are a couple things that are like, oh, this isn't like Tony Hawk in a way I wish it was. Like I wish that there was like grinding, for example, right? When you grind in that game, in this game, right, in Rollerdrome, there's no balance. So like when you grind, it's you cement stick and you just go forward, and like you can do different
Hmm.
grinds, but you can't switch what grind you're doing mid grind. You have to jump and then grind again. You don't speed up when you grind, which is really how they're used in Tony Hawk, is to like get momentum and then like keep your line going. So like I
You
wish.
do. I think you do speed up to some. Well, you speed
Mm,
up. You seem to speed up by doing tricks in general,
yes, but
and
with
I think
grinds,
grinding is one of them
you're just
that
but like
does count.
you land and then you go, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not that increase in velocity. And like if you're going fast and you start grinding and you're already fast, you slow down. Like I I do wish that there was maybe between grinding or like a manual equivalent or something like that where like you could do more linking tricks so that you weren't constantly forced to be in the air to do tricks, because that was something early on I struggled with where it would be like, oh, like I don't have like I'm mid jump right now and I'm running out of bullets, so I got to do more tricks, but like I'm already landing. So it's like it's definitely a strategy thing, don't get me wrong, you can
But
learn
it's
around those
doing
things,
like
but
it's giving you a bullet every single time you're doing a rotation in the air though, so you can do the like slow down time thing by holding down the
right.
left trigger, and it's because you can do the same thing when you're grinding. Like I'll constantly be on like a rail and like shooting at one of those guys with the big
Yeah.
guns who's
Yeah.
just like stood by the rail. And you can do that, which I think is really cool. One thing I did want to say before we get too away from the overwhelming thing is I think this game did such a good job with its like tutorials that it didn't make it super boring and mundane,
Mm-mm.
but it eased you into learning what the game was, and it didn't throw everything at you all at once. Like you'll do a level and then it'll come back and be like, okay, now you've figured out jumps and grinds and shooting. We'll introduce another mechanic to you, which is like wall riding.
Right.
Now you've done that. Here's another weapon. We're going to introduce how you change weapons, and here's how you do like the special maneuver on that weapon because each weapon has its own different special way of operating.
And
And I liked that as well.
something I like about that as well is that like the weapons are progress gated, but the other things aren't. That really bothers me in video games, where it'll be like, oh, now you have wall riding, and it's like, why didn't I have it before? Like, it's fine if you don't explain it to me right away because you don't want to overwhelm me with options, but like I don't like when the games like arbitrarily disable your oh, you can't grind until we teach you how to grind. It's like, why? Like that's annoying, right? Like if I know or if I figure it out, like I should be able to just do it, you know? So I like that about it too. Like it gates things meaningfully, it feels like, right? Where it's like, okay, like learn how to use the pistols to combo. All right, cool. This is the shotgun level. Now you can learn how to do that. And then you can go back to the old levels and be like, okay, now you can try them with everything you've unlocked and work on getting a higher score and doing the challenges. And I think that encourages replaying as well, because like you do want to go back and be like, oh, like let me try the first mission with the grenade launcher now, and like it's totally different, you know, like that is
Mhm.
rewarding and really cool.
Yeah, I really liked that, and yeah, I was blown away when I got to the level, and it's like right now proceed to the next area, and I'm like, what? There's another area, and you go to the next area, and it's just like this big old boss battle that you're in, and I was just like, wow, I did not expect that, and it was a really cool moment, which I really liked, and there's something about this game that I keep playing. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means, but it's firmly on my game of the year list now.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
the style, the gameplay, I can't stop playing. It's got that thing that you need from a game like this, where it's,
one more run,
arena based, is
one more
run.
One more. Yeah. This is the run. Let me do one more.
One thing I'd really love is an online multiplayer version of this game. I think it would be so fun.
Yeah, it would be really nice if there was like either like two of you are on the screen and you're competing for a score, and there's like a limited number of guys for you to fight, or like even like like a score attack thing where it's like we're playing against each other and I have my screen and you have your screen and we're not interacting, but like we're competing for high score or like graffiti mode or some of the stuff that you know from like your Tony Hawks or whatever. Yeah, because it's just fun. Like, it's a really fun score chasey type arcade game, and those are always fun when you can be like, oh, that's your best score? Let's look at my best score. Like oh, you beat my score? I got to beat your score now. Like,
yeah, even like a leaderboard would be really
really nice.
Compare against your friends, just being able to see where you rank and how good you're doing.
Yeah.
Or maybe even have some kind of built-in replay functionality. I don't know. I think it's a really special game, and we've not unlocked that locked mode. There's a mode behind the campaign which I think just makes the levels harder. It's like Bloodhound mode or something it's called. I can't remember the name. I think it's just like an extra hard version of the game. But like you said, this game is challenging enough. If you're a skate game fan, I think you will be challenged with this, because the shooting adds in that extra mechanic. And when you nail it, you have that sense of like euphoria, that it gives you that best sense that you get from any video game, which is like, I feel like an absolute hero.
Yeah.
Like I got that when I was playing through like Marvel Spider-Man, and you're like swinging through the city and you like jump off and he does like a roll and like fucking shoot, like bashes someone around the face with like a grate or whatever. Like you get that same feeling from this. It's like, oh, I'm slowing down time in midair as I'm spinning, and I'm shooting one guy, and then I'm spinning to reload my weapon, and then I'm shooting another guy, and then I'm like landing on the floor, and I'm perfectly dodging like a snipe at the exact same time. And I've got all that done, and now I'm in like super reflex time because I managed to like time it completely perfectly. So now I can like do like a mass combo attack, and it's so good. It's really, really good.
So two things on that note. One is, if you didn't catch it, I streamed my first playthrough of the game on Twitch, and it's over on the FlipScreen live channel, which you should go check out if you haven't already. That's our new sister channel where we put the VODs of all of our Twitch streams up. And you can watch me have that moment in real time the first time I like did a good combo, and I was like, oh, like, holy crap, this is fun. Like, this is really cool, and like it gives you that like it's got that hot, like, Matrix moment of just like, you're like, oh man, like this is so badass, and it really steeps itself in that kind of energy of just you being like, Jesus, I feel like such a badass right now, right? Like it's such a cool setup, right? Of like, you just, especially even like the intro to the game, right? You come out of that first person section and you walk in, and then it just immediately snaps and you're skating into the rink, and then
that super wide angle lens. Yeah.
It's so dope. It's just got such a good feel. Like you said, I wouldn't say it's a perfect game, right? There are things I could point to and be like, this could feel better. I'd love if they did this way or whatever. But like by and large, like I think this game slaps. I think it has a great artistic direction. I think it's extremely fun. I think it's unique. Like there's not another game like it for my money. It's a fucking good game, and it's definitely you said it was a special game, and I definitely agree with that. I think there are a lot of games that hit right, and it's like, oh, this is good, not great, and you remember it however much you're going to remember it based on that, right? Where it's like, there are some games where it's like, it's not great, but for fans of the genre, it's fantastic, right? Or something like that, right? Like I think of like Guardians of the Galaxy for me last year was a real like, this game's pretty mid, but I really fuck with it and I love it, right? Whereas this to me is like, like it might not be a 10 out of 10, right? Because I think there are things that could be tightened up, but like, when it comes to like style and direction and personality, I think it is perfect. I think it's such a fucking visually and stylistically distinct game. I can't point to any like, and that's why when it's like, oh, what kind of game is it? It's like, well, it's like Tony Hawk meets Max Payne, I guess. I don't know. Like it's Rollerdrome. And that in and of itself, especially I think coming from a smaller team, really, really deserves to be lauded. Because, like, there are so many video games that are like, oh, this is good for this genre. This is good. This is fine, whatever. Like, there are so few ideas that are really, really, truly fresh and unique and are this well executed. And I really want to give them their flowers for that because I'm with you. This game's definitely on the short list for Game of the Year for me. I don't think it'll be my Game of the Year, but I would be very surprised if it wasn't in my top 5. Definitely will be in the top 10. I think this game slaps. And for what it's worth, if you are a Steam Deck fan, like Steve and I, first of all, go check out our Steam Deck podcast. Episode 2 went really well. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for the support. Thank you to the new folks. This game runs perfectly on Steam Deck. It runs 60 FPS locked on Steam Deck, and it's perfect. Like, out of the box, you have to change a thing.
I've even ran it like docked to my TV at 720p, and I've had no issue with it whatsoever. And with FSR, like you know, it scales up. It's such a great art style, and I feel like this is going to be one of those styles, like Breath of the Wild was, that just inspires so many other games. And I think we're probably going to see this style again and again and again, probably in like 2 or 3 years' time, when those development studios have been able to match this style, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, I really love this style. I really love this game, and I think, like I said, I think it's something special, and I think it's something to be praised at like 100%.
And I'll say 2 more things about it. And one of them is I guess like an ad. So I will say the disclaimer that Private Division, the publisher, did provide Steve with a code. I paid for my own copy of the game, so take it with a grain of salt. But we did get a code. The game right now until the 30th is on sale for $20 instead of $30. I think if you're at all interested, you should go pick it up at this introductory price. I think $20 is a really good price for it. And I think it's a game that's well worth your time. And I think, like, if any of what we said piqued your interest or you saw the trailer and you think it might be for you, pick it up. Like, if you're into the whole score chasing arcade thing, if the, slow down, like, action of it, like, any of that sounds like it's your jam, I think you're really doing yourself a disservice if you don't try this game. I think this is going to be, unfortunately, I think it will probably be an indie game that gets slept on compared to some of the other bigger releases this year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to not see this on the short list for, like, Indie Game of the Year later this year, and I think that will be a mistake.
Yeah, I think I could see it, though. I think it's probably going to be in consideration for some Game of the Year awards. Maybe it's some Game Awards, I should say. Maybe it won't be up there for Game of the Year, but I think this is probably in contention for the best sport game released this year. We're not going to have like a Forza or anything this year. Yeah. And I feel like this could be up there for like the best sport
I hope so. I hope so.
Year, even if it is like an action game.
Because I think this game is great, and I've definitely seen good press about it, but I feel like I don't see a ton of people in my timeline talking about it. So I hope it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. It
may have got overshadowed by the other game that you're playing, or a ton of other games around this time of year. Like September's looking stacked.
It's a really aggressive time of year. So yeah, so I recognize all that, but I think I feel like I'm not doing my due diligence as the host of hopefully your favorite video game podcast if I'm not telling you that you need to go pick up this game. Like, if you vibe with the kind of games that we like and anything we said is your jam, then do yourself a favor. Grab it. So let's talk about the next game on our list. This is the game that I've been playing. I think arguably the indie game of the moment right now. Definitely seems to be lighting quite a few people ablaze, and I guess that is a pun because there's a lot of fire in this game. But Cult of the Lamb. So Cult of the Lamb feels like a game we've been talking about for forever, right? We've seen a lot of it. It's finally, it previewed really well a couple weeks ago. It's finally available for everybody, and it's funny because when it was previewed, I remember you tried it out on the Steam, the summer. It was
on the Next Fest.
Summer
I tried
Next
out
Fest.
The demo on it, and to be fair, they didn't have a lot there. It was like a 20-minute demo. and like you never really got to the point where you're properly building out your cult or anything like that. I don't know. It didn't massively hook me, and I know that you love it, and I know that Zaid, one of our Patreon producers, absolutely loves it as well, and he's been trying to get me to pick it up as well. So I want you to convince me. Why is this game special? Why is this game like the game of the moment? What is it all about?
So I'm going to start by saying this game is on my short list for Game of the Year. I have really been enjoying it. I've played quite a bit of it. To give you an idea of where I am, so the game is very, very similar to Moonlighter, which was a game that we both really, really loved a couple years ago. Great game. You can play it for free on Netflix now, so that means anything to you. Go check it out.
Oh my God, okay.
Weird, right? I noticed that last night. That game, right? The big hook is you're a shopkeep, right? And at night you're going out and doing dungeon crawling roguelike segments, and then during the day you run a shop and you like build out a little town. It's very similar to that, but in the way that game is like very, very wrapped up in the whole like you're running the shop, you're not really running the town, right? Like it's just like you spend money to build out the town, but you're not controlling it. This is far more on the sim management side of things. So like the games like, like Little Root or, I'm trying to think of some other good examples of like towny control sims. Can you think of any other ones? Like you play a lot of these kinds of games. I'm trying to think of another one like Little Root or something like that.
Not the ones where you like manage a town. So like what kind of things do you have to do in it?
So there's kind of like there's a lot of systems in the game, which is I think why I'm struggling to like choose one to jump off of. But the two major systems, right, which then break down into some subsystems, are the roguelike stuff where you are this lamb that is supposed to be part of this prophecy for this, like, basically the devil, right? And these old gods have trapped the devil. We're just going to call him, I think he's the one who waits is his name. And the prophecy is supposed to be that a sheep is going to come and overthrow all the old gods, and then the one who waits will take over the world, right? So they kill you because you're supposed to be the last sheep. They've eradicated all the other sheep. You're the last one, the lamb, whatever. So they kill you.
Come back or something?
And yeah, the one who waits brings you back to life. And he's basically like, hey, you're now my avatar, and I'm going to make it so that you're not dead, but you have to serve me, and you need to start a cult in my name, and you need to overthrow all these other gods, and then I'm going to take over the world. And that's the framing device of the overall experience. There are 4 different old gods that you have to defeat, and they represent the 4 different dungeons. Each dungeon is randomly generated. There's like, I think 8 rooms on each floor. And basically what you'll do is it'll be like you go through, you beat the first room, and then you end up on a map in the dungeon, and you have to pick what room you're going to go to next. And like one room you might get like a new follower.
That's kind of like Hades.
Then. Yes. And one room you might get a new follower, and followers are like, a resource basically, and I'll explain the systems that they interact with in a minute. But then you can also get like food for your followers, or like lumber to like build, buildings, or like stone or whatever. So that's like the basic loop of the roguelike stuff. And there's like tarot cards that you unlock as you go, and they give you different perks, and it's like very similar to Hades in that way, right? Like if you're familiar with Hades, with like you get a weapon and you get cards, and those dictate what skills you have and how well you do and how far you get. That's where like the random roguelite stuff comes in. So then on the city sim side of things, right, that with your followers, you use your followers as like your primary resource. Because one of the main things, like the way that you level up your character is by faith. So there's kind of like 2 ways that works, where like there's like general satisfaction, right? So like your followers, right? Like they can get hungry, they can get sick. They each have individual traits that impact their personality. So like one of the things you can do is like sacrifice a follower, right? And you might have some villagers who are like, anytime you sacrifice a follower, that scares them. So you lose like 10 satisfaction. But you could also have a follower whose thing is that they're like a zealot, right? And anytime you sacrifice somebody, they're like, fuck yeah, like, yes, amazing. So it goes up. So like there's all these different, like there's some where it'll be like, oh, like if a follower dies, right? Because they can die of old age, they can die of illness, they can die from you killing them. You can butcher them and then feed them to your followers. And like that's a perk that you can choose from leveling up your cult, where you can be like, everybody is a cannibal. So every time they eat a follower, they gain more faith and they gain more happiness or whatever, right? And as you gain faith, you invest that to level up your character, and it'll be like every time you spawn at the beginning of one of the roguelike sections, you have a stronger weapon, right? Or you have more special abilities that you can use, or, you know, whatever, right? You have more health when you spawn. And then there are also like things you can unlock, like new buildings and new like works that you can basically unlock through building out your faith and upgrading your cult. So like one of the things that happens is villagers have to go to the bathroom, right? And in the beginning of your cult, right, like you only have access to like low quality food, so it's like more likely to make them go to the bathroom right away. And if you don't have an outhouse, they just go to the bathroom on the floor. And if you don't clean that up, that makes like that lowers the hygiene of the whole thing, of the place, which can then get everybody sick and they can die, or they can.
That's just like 2 Point Hospital.
Yeah, or like SimCity or like Tropico or any of those kinds of things. So part of it is the like making your town more efficient, right? Like in the early game, I was spending less time doing the roguelite stuff and more being like, how do I build a machine that's sustaining so that like I have enough food to feed my villagers, that I have enough lumber so that I can build new buildings, that I have enough fertilizer so I can fertilize my crops, right? Whatever. So like a lot of it is that kind of management, like how do I build a better home? And then you go and do the roguelite stuff to get more resources and level up and advance. And, you know, like you'll hit a point where you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm trying to build this thing and I don't have enough coins. Like I should go do a run and make some money, right? Or like, oh, like we're running low on food. Let me do a run and I'll make sure I try to go to a room with food so I can get food resource.
And or like, it looks like, because I'm watching some footage, and it looks like there's like special conditions that you can put on a run, like chest drops food and not gold. That
will happen based on rooms that you go to. So sometimes you'll go to a room where it'll activate a perk like that, and it'll be like, oh, this is just what happens now.
Okay.
So it's like another modifier of your run. I'm sorry?
Like some of them negatives?
Like,
could you go in a room and it'll be like,
yes,
you know, you get half gold or something?
I remember getting one where it was like every time you took damage, you got like decaying damage or something like that. So like there are like things like,
okay,
yeah, they're not usually negative, but I think there are some that are negative. I also I'm only on the second boss, so I don't know if the third and fourth one have more detrimental perks and stuff like that as it gets harder. I would imagine they do.
And do the bosses work in the same way as they do in Hades and Moonlight? Or I guess Hades and Moonlight are different, right? Because in Hades, you've got to do it all in one big stretch, and then you get to the end, and that's it, and you're out. In Moonlight, you had different like dungeons you unlocked. Like you would complete one dungeon, you would do the boss, that was it, and then you moved on to the next dungeon. And each dungeon had like a bunch of different levels, and they're like little mini bosses. And then when you got to the end, you could you could defeat that boss, and you would have completed that dungeon. How does it work in Cult of the Lamb? Like, is it one dungeon you've got to do it all in one hit? Are the bosses random? Or is it similar to like Hades?
It's more akin to Moonlighter, I would say, because there are the 4 different bosses, and each one has their own door, right? That like starts their run, and the way that it works is
it's exactly like Moonlighter.
Yes, but the sub bosses are built into it. So like the first one is called like Darkwood, for example, right? And the main bad guy of that one is called Leshy. But to get to him, you have to beat 2 other sub bosses. So the way that it works is you'll go through a whole run, and at the end of the run, rather than getting to like the final boss, you get to sub boss number 1, and then the second time you do it, you get to sub boss number 2 until you beat sub boss number 2.
Okay, so I can't go through like do sub boss 1, sub boss 2, and defeat the final main boss in one run.
When you beat sub boss 1, you'll get to a door basically, and it has the main, like Leshy, right? I said is the big bad in the first one. It'll be a door with Leshy's face on it, and it'll show you beat 1, there's 2 more to go, right? And you got to beat all the mini bosses before you're able to fight him. And when you fight him, then once you've beaten it, that's dusted, and then every time you replay it, you can just fight him right away. Like, not right away. You have to still go through the thing, but you don't have to fight the mini bosses, is my point. And they get harder once you've beaten them, so that like there is still an incentive for you to go back and re-beat the ones you've beaten before, right? Like if like I had a situation last night where like a bunch of my followers got old all at the same time, and once they become seniors, they can't work anymore. So I had like 3 or 4 people who I had like doing important jobs that got old right away, and I was like, shit.
Yeah, but that's when you sacrifice them, and it's fine.
Well, you can, yeah,
them up and you feed them,
and like you can do that. When they die, you can either just butcher them or you can bury them, and then like there's like a bunch of ways you can take advantage of that. Where it's like if you butcher them, you can feed them to the people, and that has a bunch of effects.
Yeah.
Or you can like make a grave, and if people go and like mourn at the grave, like you can collect faith that way. So it's like you can leverage it in a lot of different interesting ways. But point being, I was like, shit, all these people are getting old. I need more new followers. So I'm going to go back and do a run of the first level because I'll get through it fast, and I can just run it 2 or 3 times and specifically go to rooms where I'll get new followers, and I can get more of that resource that way.
So it's not randomized. The rooms are always the same.
No, it is randomized, but you get like when you go,
it shows you like there's a picture of a follower. Or
it shows you a map, and it'll be like this room has a follower in it. This room has fruit. This room has wood. This room has a battle, right? And you can like make choices based on what resource you need, because like bones are a resource that you get from killing enemies, and like that's something you can use in rituals. So like if I'm trying to do a ritual and I know I need more bones, I can be like, okay, I only want to go to rooms that have enemies in them because I want bones, or like I know I need more followers, so I'm gonna intentionally go down this path because the first room is a fight, and then the next room is a follower, and then the next room is the boss, right? Or something like that. And you can kind of plan a route that way based on what resources you're trying to acquire.
Okay, makes sense. It's interesting. I've not played I've played a roguelike where it shows you the whole map beforehand. And most of them, it's like random, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You don't know what's coming.
It is still random.
It is random, but it's showing you on the map exactly, so you can plan a route through.
But it's interesting too because it's also like there's the map of the route, but then there's also like, let me try and explain this. It's like a phase, right? So it's like phase 1 is just the run that you start from. And in phase 1, there are 8 rooms that have randomly spawned on that floor. Mm-hmm. Then you go to phase 2, and on that map, it's a randomly spread, I can go to this room or I can go to this room. But then within that, if you go to a room with battles, it's another 8 random tiles. So like even though you're going,
you can play and Betrayal at House on the Hill on like a virtual like version.
And with the battle stuff, right? Like with the followers or with like the fruit or whatever, those are always only like one room. Like the follower, you go into a room and either it's a follower who's there by themselves and they're like, oh no, like these bad guys came and killed my village. Can I join your cult? Or they're about to be sacrificed by a group of the old gods worshippers, and you just kill all of them, and then you can take them and indoctrinate them in the one guy into your cult or whatever. So those are like the same every time, but like the battle tile, like if you go to a room where you're like, oh, I'm going into a battle zone, that's 8 random tiles. And those are totally random because like Yes, there will be enemies in most of those rooms, but it's not limited to that. Like I said, there are tarot cards that you get that are like the Hades cards of giving you abilities. That's one of the random rooms that can spawn, is like, oh, there's like the tarot card reader, and like you'll go to that room and there's no enemy and you just get a tarot card from him. And then if you have gold, you can buy a second tarot card. So like I could roll 2 cards and be like, oh, cool, now I have these abilities for when I go and fight the boss, right? Or you can find like a room that has a treasure chest in it and it just has a bunch of resources. Or like you can find a room where there's just 3 tarot cards on the ground and you can just take all 3 of them. And like, so there is like a real risk reward there where like you know what you're going to get if you choose the follower room. But if you choose like a room with a question mark, you get a random event. Or if you choose the battles, like you might get some resources that you wouldn't have found otherwise that are like really valuable. So it's random enough that you're not constantly like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do, right? Like it keeps it fresh. But I don't think it's intimidating, which is good.
Good God, do you know what? I hate you right now because I really want to play this game. It sounds so fun.
It's because it's really good, Steve, and I think you'd love it. It's great. I really like it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to pick it up this week. I'm actually streaming some of this with Zaid on his channel on Monday. So go check out twitch.tv/snackhugo. And
the fuck, where's my invite? I'm the one actually playing this game.
He wants to sell me on this game, so I'm
going
to see some footage for him playing it, and we'll see. I'm curious though, Pete, what did you call your cult?
Cult of the Screen.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think by the sounds of it, this seems firmly on your Game of the Year list.
Definitely.
And it's crazy that it's only August and we're already talking about like 2 possible contenders for Game of the Year. We're coming up to a really stacked September, October.
You know what's fucked up, Steve, is
additional announcements from today.
There are 4 games on my short list for Game of the Year that have come out in the last like 30 days.
Right, it's crazy. And I know Return to Monkey Island's out in September now. They've given the release date for that. Splatoon 3's out.
Monkey Island, Splatoon 3, God of War, Ragnarok. What else do we have on the horizon? There's a couple really good contenders left.
Sonic Frontiers. How could you forget that?
I think we both know why I forgot that.
There's the Callisto Protocol, which I'm really excited about in December.
Probably not one for me, but that's definitely a banger. Like, that's a big release on the horizon. Like, what else is left? Is there? I'm trying to think.
Advance Wars, if that's still coming.
If it comes out, yeah, sure.
There's a bunch. There's an absolute bunch of stuff coming in September.
I'm pulling it up right now if I can. What else we got? Scrolling. Give me 1 second here.
Oh, Saints Row just came out as well, but that didn't.
Nope, so hot, not that one. Not that one. That is reviewing really like the.
Yeah, we got Last of Us Part 1 next month as well.
That's true.
Out. If people haven't played The Last of Us,
right around the corner on that one, which is cool. Slime
Rancher 2. You excited for that one?
Tentatively. That was the first one. Was a game I always wanted to play and just like never did. You know, but definitely my jam.
And when's the official like season 1 multiverses? Like when's that coming out of early access? That got delayed. Right?
Season 1 was out last week. It started, and then this like literally today they just dropped a new patch because they just added a new character. They added Morty from Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Multiverses is going strong on for season 1.
Okay.
I think they just announced. I think that they have like. I think they're at a 200 million average players or something like that. It's like a really high number.
It's mental.
Yeah, it's doing great. Like they got to be really happy with that.
October's looking stacked. So we got Overwatch 2. Marvel's Midnight Suns was meant to be out. That's delayed to next year. Mario Rabbids, Plague Tale Requiem, Persona's obviously coming to Game Pass and other platforms. So that's the big October game that we'll be probably covering over here.
Soul Hackers 2.
Stella's coming in November.
Soul Hackers 2 comes out in a couple days. That's that other game from Atlas. Ooblets. We've got coming
Skull and Bones. Oh, Ooblets! I forgot about that. I'm waiting for the PC release on Steam, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Temtem hits 1.0. That's coming. Yeah, I mean,
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Yes, that's also true. Yeah, dude, it's Gotham Knights is.
And Dragon Quest Treasures.
Dude, Gotham
Knights
got delayed.
It was due, right? Did it get delayed?
Did it get delayed?
I don't know. Everything's either delayed or it's coming in October.
It's coming in October. Nope, not delayed.
Yeah.
We got that. We've got Overwatch 2. We've got Plague Tale Requiem. We've got the new Ghostbusters multiplayer thing. Mario plus Rabbids. Is that delayed?
No, that's not delayed. That's coming out.
That's coming out in October as well.
That like one with the like gross, horrible, like it looks like you're inside of a human.
And then there's, like you said, we've got P5 Royal. We've got Bayonetta 3. We've got New Tales from the Borderlands. We've got the Resident Evil Village expansion.
Oh, shit. Yeah, the DLC and also the third-person mode. So I'm going to be playing Resident Evil Village for the first time.
We've got Harvestella, which we're going to see more of at the Nintendo thing later this week. We've got Skull and Bones, which I'm sure will be terrible. We've got Sonic Frontiers. We've got Goat Simulator 3. We've got that new Warhammer game. Callisto Protocol, Hello Neighbor 2, Dragon Quest Treasures, just so much. And like, assume that none of the other games that could come, right? Like, or stuff that's been delayed or that we don't have a date for or whatever, right? Like, there's a lot more that could get added to that list. But say, fuck that, nothing gets added to that list. That's like 15 more games that are like, depending on who you are, some of them are like, definite bangers, and some of them are like, well, if you're a builder, creative type person, then like this game will speak to you. If you're like, you like the action, you like the horror, you like this, you like that, like there's at least 2-3 more big releases I think for pretty much anybody on this list. And I feel like I already have a pretty solid top 5.
Pictures got a date as well, didn't it? New Dark Pictures anthology, the Devil in Me, that's got a release date as well.
By the way,
I can't remember what it is.
By the way, we don't have time to talk about it because we're getting near the end here. I played The Quarry. I'll say this and I'll leave it at that for now because I want you to play it. Maybe we do a spoiler cast. I think it is the best game that Supermassive has ever made.
Okay.
I think it is better than Until Dawn.
To know.
And
nothing has matched Until Dawn until this.
I really fuck with Until Dawn. I love that game, and I think this game is decidedly better than it, that says a lot. I think it kicks ass. So yeah, I don't know, dude. Like I'm gonna struggle. I think with the top 10 this year, I really am, because like it went from being there's like nothing this year. I'm just playing all these old games and just chilling, and then now I'm like, I'm juggling 4 Game of the Year contenders right now.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have to be choosy in what games we both play to kind of figure out if it's worth the other one playing.
I think I'm gonna miss a lot of them too, because I'm losing a whole week and change for my wedding and my honeymoon and stuff, where I'm not gonna play any of this shit. So
and Xenoblade, I guess you haven't really been able to touch the sides on with.
I've been playing a lot of it.
Oh, have you? That's
good. But it's also like not as much as I would have if I wasn't also playing Multiversus and Rollerdrome and Cult of the Lamb, right? So like that game has become the game that when I want to sit down and play a game on my TV, that's what I'm playing, and all the other games I'm playing are on Steam Deck. So, it's nuts though. I mean, Xenoblade, Multiverses, Rollerdrome, and Cult of the Lamb are all on my short list for Game of the Year. And I'm playing them all right now.
You've got one more space left.
Oh, we're doing a top 10.
Pokemon's not up there.
No, we're doing a top 10.
Not up there?
We're doing a top 10, okay. Steve. We have to. Because Horizon is also on that list. That's already 5. Pokemon Arceus is on that list. That's 6. I'm assuming...
Not like Arceus could get booted if the other Pokemon's could, because I don't think you should have 2 Pokemon games on the same.
If they're both slap, then that's not my fault. right? Like,
True.
take it up with Game Freak, buddy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because to me, our Arceus is like it is in my top 3 favorite Pokemon games. So like that has to be
then
rewarded.
It's definitely got to be on the list.
Has to be rewarded. It has to be. I mean, like that's 6 right
Plus,
there.
it sounds like from the talk that Game Freak's doing, right, where it's talking about was it Gamescom talking about
the cloud assets and
2 different competing projects and stuff and different play styles and things. It sounds like it's probably going to be less of the open world catching in with seeing all the monsters out and about.
I think that aspect will I think you'll probably still see them in the overworld, but I think it's going to be battle.
It'll be like a full on battle. Yeah.
I think that's probably,
which is a shame.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a disappointment, but we'll see. Right? They could do enough other things that balance that out for me, right? Because like I loved that loop in Arceus, but I was frustrated by the lack of trainer battles. So like, we'll see, right? Maybe they'll serve 2 different masters there, and it'll be cool enough. But I mean, right? So say that those 6 are already on my short list, right? Then it's like, I'm sure I'm forgetting something else that I played that I liked. Didn't the Quarry come out this year? That's on my list. So that's 7.
Quarry came out this year. Yeah.
And then it's like
Elden Ring, that going on there?
No, that's not going on the list. I think
that's number 1, isn't it?
From Software games are overrated.
It's not going on the list.
Sorry.
It's like it's way above all of those games. It's like his own list.
No, my hot take is that Horizon Forbidden West is higher than that, and nobody agrees with me on that, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's a real spicy
Your dad
one.
agrees with me, so I'm into that. That's
my dad's not played Elden Ring.
That's because he's also a man of culture, Steve. So, but I got those 3. Assume that God of War, right, and Pokemon both make the cut. That's already 10. So I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm doing.
I need to play the old God of War before I play the new one.
I don't think you have time. Like I don't. You got to start it and beat it now. Like you got to.
How long is it?
40-ish hours.
Oh fuck, that's not gonna happen.
I think
this is not gonna happen.
And you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that and then play Ragnarok right after that. That's just not. No, you're not that person.
No, I'm definitely not.
Which sucks because you should play.
That's I need to take a day. That's like I need to take a week off work. Game.
No, you don't. If you took a week off work, you could beat it quickly. That's the only thing you're doing.
That's what I'm on about. That's I need to take a week off work, finish all of these games, get through the backlog, and then I can catch up.
Here's what you could do, Steve. If you don't do extras, 20 hours. Apparently, you can beat the if you main path it, you could beat the story.
I've already done 20 hours in Days Gone. I think I probably would have enjoyed Ragnarok more.
Yes. I think you would enjoy God of War more.
And plus, I'm rewatching Stargate SG-1 because it's the 25th birthday and it's one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time.
Sure, as one does.
And it's the voice of Kratos in there. It's Christopher Judge. He plays.
He's in it.
Yeah, he plays Tilk. He's one of the main dudes on SG-1.
I love that guy. Boy.
Yeah, he's great.
His fucking voice is so intense. I love that dude. Also, I loved like when that right after that game came out and like him and the kid who played Atreus were like doing all the press together and stuff, and they were like all buddy, and he's like a little kid, right? Like he's like I don't know 14 or whatever, and he's like the normal size of a small kid, and he's like this big dude. Like they just were like such were such a cute like match on the press. Yeah, just like, oh, we had so much fun working together, but it's like, oh, you guys are having fun.
It's like when you see Dwayne Johnson and the little dude from when they're in the Jumanji press.
Oh, Kevin Hart.
Yeah. And when you see those two together, it's hilarious.
That is funny. Oh God, I don't know if I think he's quite as cute, but sure. I guess it's a similar energy. Yeah, I like when big guys have little friends. It's just cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's surprisingly, I feel like it's come together and been a really good year for games. Like, I feel like it really felt...
Yeah, really surprising. It feels like it's the fruits of 2 years of delays and working from home and pandemic, and they've finally been able to put some games out.
Even that, though, right? Like, it's like, how much did that affect us last year? Like, there were lots of good games last year. 2020 was a great year for video games.
2020 wasn't. 2021 maybe.
Yes, it was. 2020 we had Animal Crossing, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2.
But 2021 wasn't. Like 2020 wasn't last year.
No, I know. I said
last year
also.
was like not hot, I don't think.
Let's see. What were the top games released last year? Because I don't know. I don't think it was bad. You think it was?
No, but it's not like a slam dunk year, right?
No, but we came off of a slam dunk year.
And it felt like we had the hype of the release of 2 new consoles, and then the lull that came right after it, where we're just like, we got any new games this generation?
Fair enough. I mean, it's like I that's fair. But it's like, I'm looking at the list. It's like we had It Takes Two, we had Deathloop, we had Nier, we had Forza Horizon 4, we had Resident Evil Village, we had Guardians of the Galaxy, we had Halo Infinite, which mixed bag, I guess, depending on who you're asking. You had Psychonauts 2, like Disco Elysium: The Final Cut came out that year. Hades came out.
Hades is a stretch. Like 1.0 came out, but yeah, that was like out for ages.
Yeah, but like, come on, like who's I don't know, like
a decent year, but nothing like I think this year is going to shape up to be. When we get to Game of the Year season, I feel like there's probably going to be 2 or 3 contenders that is on everyone's lips, and I think it's probably going to be a more tightly contested contest than we thought. Probably in February this year when Elden Ring came out and the year was just looking barren, we were just like, okay, is this the only game that's coming up for Game of the Year this year?
Yeah. I think I agree with you that this year we'll look back on it and think it was better than the previous year, but I feel like we've been on a clip of good years. I feel like 2017 is arguably the best year in video games, and I feel like we've ridden that wave pretty much consistently since then. I feel like the last couple years have been like pretty strong, but I think either way, comparing how I felt at the beginning of this year to how I feel now in terms of like what games are in that conversation and like how interesting is that I think it's going to be tough, actually. I think I'm going to have a hard time coming up with a top 10 because I think there will be games that don't make the cut that I really want to give an honorable mention to, which that's great, right? If I can walk away with more than 10 games that I think were bangers this year, it's a good year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any year where I've played more than 10 games is a good year.
That'll be the interesting. I'm going to be like, I completed 19 games this year and they were all fire.
Yeah, and then you go, which ones came out this year? Oh, okay, so I can't include the
that doesn't happen to me, Steve. That doesn't happen to me because you're the one who starts new games, plays them for 5 seconds, and then you're like, yeah, didn't finish Horizon this year, but Days Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But do you know what? That's what we need is a PlayStation PC launcher with cross-buy and Horizon on it, and you can learn more about that on this week's Steam Deck podcast. So go check that out.
Excellent plug. Yeah, go check out episode 2 of the Steam Deck podcast, please. We greatly appreciate it. And if you're listening on the audio version, go check out the new RSS for it if you haven't already. Even if you don't own a Steam Deck, it's a good show. If you're into like PC gaming at all, it's good for you.
Yeah, like this week was really PC, like the PlayStation PC launcher. It could be any PC. It doesn't have to be a Steam Deck.
Yeah. We talked about it quite a bit from the Steam Deck perspective, but there's a whole other side of it.
We talked about it from the Steam Deck perspective, of course.
I just don't want to undersell it. Like, it's still a Steam Deck podcast. Don't get me wrong, but even if you don't own a Steam Deck, I think you could get something out of it. That's just that's just one man's opinion, just one. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of this show. Remember, we'll have another extra Gamescom episode coming out tomorrow as of the time you're listening to this. If you're listening to it the day it drops, if you are a patron listening to it early, I can't promise that it'll be up early because our subject, the week is all messed up this week because of the events and stuff. So appreciate your understanding there. But, of course, we'll also have our Nintendo Direct-focused episode of Nintendo Noise later this week, and we got another banger for you over on Steam Deck Podcast Episode 3, so make sure you go check out all the sister shows. If you enjoy what we're doing on this show, I'm sure you'll appreciate our fine slate of programming across the channels. you going to say something?
Yeah, and Twitch. Go check out Twitch. I'll be back next week with more Shenmue 2. Actually, when is this going out? Is this going out today? It's Wednesday. I'll be back tonight with more Shenmue 2.
I'm live right now.
At twitch.tv/FlipScreenGames. I probably am live right now as you're listening to this, so pause this. Go to twitch.tv/FlipScreenGames. Click follow if you're not already, and you'll get notified.
Or, if you can't catch it live, head over to FlipScreen Live. That's our brand new second YouTube channel where we have the archive of all of the VODs. With regard to Shenmue 2, those are going up a little late because right now I am in the process of re-uploading the entirety of Steve's Shenmue 1 run, which is 7 episodes. Episode 1 just dropped today. So as of recording, by the time you're listening to this, episode 2 should already be live. So if you want to go,
it's really like 15 hours long.
Yeah, it's pretty
my God.
So if you want to go check that out,
how many hours of that is just forklift driving? Go and find out, because I really don't know.
I'll tell you what, as somebody who scrubbed it, more than you would think. I was making thumbnails and I was like, what happened in this one? And it's like, fuck, he's just racing forklifts in this fucking one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, it's like 2 whole episodes, I think.
Yeah, so go check that out. It's been a lot of fun getting those videos up for everybody. So if you've never been able to make it to a Twitch stream, or you have to leave them midway or whatever, like now you have the ability to go watch the rest of what went down. So hope you go check it out. And if you want to write in, if you want to show your support, if you want to get involved in our Discord, anything in our community, head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website. You'll find links to all the places we are. You can find links to our Patreon if you want to go above and beyond to support us. If you want to write into the show, we got the Discord, we got the email address. However you choose to get involved, however you choose to interact, we thank you for tuning in for another episode of the FlipScreen Games podcast. For the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. We'll see you next week. No, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Threw me off my game.